Dina Rudick and Eric Jacobs are both award-winning photographers, she for the Globe, he for publications including Time, Newsweek, the New York Times, but that's not why we're having them on tonight. A few years ago, Eric decided to travel down a new path and go to farm school. Now the husband and wife team runs an organic farm in Lincoln called Plow and Stars Farm with the help of their son Wendell. And that was the inspiration for Dina's new book, most of the photos by Eric, Barnyard Kids, a family guide for raising animals. It's sort of a primer on how and where to raise chickens, goats, horses, and other barnyard types. And Dina and Eric join me now. Great to see you. I love the book. It's terrific. So when you say Barnyard Kids, a family guide for raising animals, raising them where? It doesn't have to be on a farm, too. You could maybe do it in your backyard, right?
Absolutely. You really don't need much room. And we live in the city, and we have 8 chickens.
You do?
Mm-hmm. They're small.
They're small. So, and what you do and you do all the writing, and you do most of the photography, right? So far,
you got it.
What you do is you go through every animal, how to raise them, how they have to be cared for, how much space you need for them, all that kind of stuff, right?
You got it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, we want to talk animals. I want to talk about career thing. I mean, you're both photographers, and all of a sudden you become organic farmers. How did this happen? Did you have an epiphany, or what happened, Eric?
You get this question.
Short answers, right?
Yeah.
No, it was. It's just, I don't know, we strive to live lives that are connected in many different capacities, and we just felt like an urge to connect to the food that we were growing. And
but you can't make a living doing this, right? I mean, you need to be a photographer, you need to be a whatever.
I'm getting towards that answer, and it feels like no at this point, but some people are.
What's the most surprising, for someone sitting at home saying, I know there are a lot of people who really want to do this, either don't have the courage or the know-how, what's the most surprising thing? Once you dig in, so to speak, and decide to do this, what's the thing that most surprised you about this whole farming deal?
Oh my gosh.
You don't have to look at him, you can answer the question. What's the answer?
I think it was really surprising that we felt like we were relatively smart, ambitious people and capable, and that we figured if we thought about it and worked hard enough, we would find a way to make it financially sustainable. And I think when we ran headlong to the answer that it wasn't, I think that was the biggest surprise of all. We expected it to be hard, but...
Now, while the book, I read through about half of it, while the book is fine for adults, it's mostly directed, I think, at getting kids excited and involved in animals and farming. And that is where you're going, right?
Yeah, it's sort of secretly written for the parents because if your kid gets a cow, you actually get the cow. So it's really written for parents and kids, and it's written, yes, for people who might get animals, but it's also really written for kids who will never get a cow in their lives, but just really need to know why cows have 4 stomachs and why bunnies eat their poop and all these.
Why do bunnies eat their poop?
They kind of don't eat their poop. There's a soft poop and a hard poop. They have technical names, and it's sort of part of their digestive process.
Sorry, I asked. So you went to the farm school? Is that what you did?
I did, yeah.
My kids both went to the farm school.
Kidding.
And without naming names, one of them is not crazy about hard work. The thing they loved about this was the hard work.
Yeah.
Why is it that kids who in normal life are lazier than day is long, all of a sudden hit a farm and these animals and decide, I'm going to go for it? What's that about? What is that about?
I think it's being able to see exactly where your work is going to, and also it's a purpose-driven work. It's not just feeling like you're out there, just wasting your time and energy on a pointless task. When you know you're part of a team, you're part of a bigger effort, you know what the bigger goal is, the bigger picture, it's exciting. It's really exciting.
And empowering.
Yeah.
For the kid, because it's a product of your
Absolutely.
work. I mean, a tangible product that you can do something with, right?
They can learn a skill that they never even fathomed they'd have before.
Yeah. When I first got a hold of the book, I was really excited because I was saying, this is the kind of thing that's going to lure people in and bring their kids. And then this horrible thing happened in Maine a couple of days ago. Little toddler goes to a petting zoo, dies of E. coli. What do you say to a parent out there who says, I was ready to buy in, but this is not for me? What do you say?
First of all, I have a son that's just a touch older than that, a few months, and I can't even really think about it without, shutting down. It's awful. But I guess I would say that animals and people have coexisted for eons, and yes, I mean this is a bacteria that does live in the intestines of both animals and people. But it rarely makes people sick, and it's horrible that this happened, but I think the best protection is just wash your hands.
What do you do in the winter? I mean, I know you're going to look at me and say, what a fool this guy is. What do you do when the ground's frozen, which it is like in about a minute and a half from now? What do you do?
Besides nap?
Oh, no, is that what you do? You sleep through the winter?
You recharge. I mean, New England farmers traditionally do all sorts of different things because we don't have like the land base to have gigantic farms or the weather systems to grow year round. So New England farmers grow vegetables in the summer, traditionally transition into things like cutting firewood and making maple syrup in the winters and caring for livestock. So traditionally New England farms are very diverse places. Our farm is not like that right now. Maybe one day it will be, but during this winter will be.
You know, we don't have enough time tonight to discuss genetically modified food.
Yeah.
Can we discuss for 30 seconds genetically modified animals? I mean, I read this thing like China is developing this pet pig
Right.
that's essentially half the size of a normal pig, which you could have with a pet. Is that to be frowned upon, or is that okay? I mean, it connects a kid.
You're asking my personal opinion.
Well, of course I am. Yeah.
I think it's weird.
Why is it weird?
Because
you shouldn't mess with Mother Nature. Is
That's
that
pretty much. That's sort of my That's how I mean. This is not a scientifically. I'm not saying it's, but I'm just my personal opinion is we should.
Are you in the weird train for that too?
It is weird, but it's hard to know where to draw the line because the seeds I plant are not genetically modified, but we've been messing with genetics for generations in terms of like just selecting plants for certain traits. And that is on some levels, a certain amount of modification.
This is going to upset her. I was convinced I was going to become rich creating the science for pygmy cats, which would allow cats to stay kittens for life. Before you go, there's a 12-year-old sitting at home who thinks he or she is pretty excited about this. Talk to him for 15 seconds.
Man, when I was a kid and I wanted a horse, my dad told me I could have a horse when I was ready, and that was maddening. And I just was like, well, what does that mean? Well, to me, being ready is knowing something and knowing about the animals that you're interested in. So I say, if you want, or if you even think about wanting animals, just study up on them and see if it really sparks the fire you think it will.
And this is the place to study up. How about your 15 seconds?
Put a seed in the ground, watching a chicken hatch, it's a miracle, and just unplug for a minute and slow down and just watch it.
You two are so calm, it's painful. I'll tell you, it's unbelievable. Dina, it's great to see you
Great to
again.
see
Eric,
you.
it's a pleasure
Thanks
to
for
meet you.
having
Good luck. Terrific book. Really appreciate it.